Well, speaking of great matches, Ken, sticking with that TNA run, I gotta ask about Kurt Angle and you in the steel cage. I know you're asked a lot about that one, but it's such a good match. And what was that experience like for you being in there with Kurt Angle?
I always loved working with Kurt. Kurt is like he's literally a cyborg. He has one speed. A lot of times wrestlers will, there's high bursts of energy and then you back off a little bit and you relax and you rest a little bit and then you go, 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 and then you back off. Kurt is just go, go, go the entire time. And if you're not in decent shape, like he's just gonna chew you up. Um, that particular match, like this is the funniest story to me. And I actually talked with Kurt about this on his podcast. So Kurt, I I didn't know this when I first met him, but it turns out that Kurt is a guy that likes to he plans out matches like weeks and months in advance if he can. So like 3, 4 weeks in advance, he came up to me. He was like, "Hey, we got 20, 22 minutes or 23 minutes. They're going to give us a ton of time." He goes, I've already got everything sort of mapped out. Obviously, we'll plug in some of your stuff. And, I was like, I had never worked like that before. It was crazy to me. So usually it's on the day. You show up. What are we doing? How much time do we have? And then you plan it out and then you go out and execute it. So we kind of were talking about it a couple weeks in advance. And then on the day, he came up and he goes, they cut our time. And I was like, well, what did they cut it? And he goes, they cut 10 minutes from our time. So instead of 23, we've got 13. And then he goes, we're going 23. I'll take the heat. Don't worry about it. Which if you if you go over like 30 seconds on your time on a TV taping or a pay-per-view, you in big trouble. Like you're in big, big trouble. So to hear him say, like, we're gonna go 10 minutes over and there ain't anything anybody's gonna do about it, I was like, okay, you're Kurt, man. Like,
Yes.
I listen to you. So it's like this part of the match. And so we planned it all out and we knew that we were just gonna ignore the referee and when he told us to go home and so Slick was our ref. And at one point he's like, all right, guys, start taking it home. And we just kept going, kept going. And then a little while later, he's like, guys, they're telling me to like tell you guys to wrap it up. And we just ignored him. And then can I swear on here? Is it okay?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And
You can tell I was trained by him.
Yeah, right.
and he said it a couple times and then finally he goes, guys, they're like yelling at me, they're screaming in my ear, go home. And he goes, Kurt looks at me and goes, tell him to fuck off. And which was funny because like he couldn't tell them to fuck off because he didn't have a two-way.
Right. There's no
So you just see Slick look up at the hard cam and go like, and then just
wow.
we kept going. And then one more thing in there was Kurt decided that he was going to hit the moonsault or that he was going to do the moonsault. You know, he wanted me to roll, and I was like, I'll just take it. And so we went through that, and then we knew that because D'Lo was our producer, we knew that the office would not be okay with him doing that high risk maneuver with the condition that he is. He was getting up there, and they didn't want him to like kill himself anymore. So, but he just like, I feel it in this match. We need it. So I remember going through it, planning it out. We told D'Lo that, he was gonna go up there and then he was just gonna hit the moonsault off the top rope. And so when he actually did it and he crawled all the way up to the top and we came back to the curtain and to Kurt's credit, he took all the heat. Like I never got an ounce of heat. And D'Lo looked at me and he goes, you knew that he was going to do that moonsault off the top, didn't you? And I was like, I didn't know that. No. And he just, the only one thing that, the only bit of heat that I got, and it was like, it was the worst. AJ came up to me. AJ was working Ric Flair that night, and they ended up cutting his time by quite a bit. because we went over, and he was just like that disappointed. Like AJ doesn't really get mad. He doesn't swear ever. I think he allows himself like 2 curse words a year or something like that. For real. And he was just like, I'm disappointed, man. I'm disappointed. And that was the worst.
That sounds like a father type thing. Like
Was
just a
he's such
disappointed
a
parent.
he's such a great human being too. Like you don't want to disappoint him.
Yeah. Oh my God. What is going through your mind as Curtis coming down for that moonsault? Because I obviously you did know it was happening. Like you're looking up at him coming. I mean, it's crazy.
I trust him like implicitly, you know.
Hmm.
He's he's so good that it's like you don't even have to like brace yourself too much for it. I just knew that he was going to take care of me, and he thinks he landed right on my face, but he barely touched me. If anything, he gave me like a gentle kiss on my forehead.
Crazy.
The talent.
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.